Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to Babish's Great American Hot Dog Adventure. We recently shot a hot dog ranking episode that has left me besieged with hot dogs. So both in an effort to reduce waste and to see just how far we can push the medium, I wanted to share with you all some of my very favorite hot dog hacks, which are going to run the gamut from perfectly practical to borderline unthinkable. So without further ado, let's start doing things to sausage. First, something almost annoyingly straightforward. Should you find yourself with over 90 extra hot dogs in the fridge, here's the best way to freeze them. We want to arrange them in a zip-top plastic bag in a single layer. This will allow the hot dogs to defrost more evenly and quickly, while giving you the option to peel off a single hot dog if you're alone and in the mood. Next up, we want to get as much air out of the bag as possible. You can do this by simply squeezing the bag, using a straw to suck out all the delicious hot dog air, or slowly submerging the bag in water while closing the top, or as I like to call it, the redneck engineered vacuum sealer. Just be sure to pat it dry before sending it into the freezer. Now onto some stuff you can do with all those not frozen hot dogs. First up, the spiralizer, a hot dog inspired by a medieval torture technique. Basically, we're impaling your sausage on a wooden skewer and then placing a single cut diagonally down the length of your sausage, making sure to cut all the way down to the skewer. Then once your sausage has been spiralized, we're going to gently separate the layers, pulling it down the length of the skewer until evenly spaced. Then, just to improve browning, we're going to hit it with a little bit of nonstick spray before heading out to our preheated grill, where we're going to grill it up just like any other hot dog. With one vital difference: I did the math, and this has about 15,000% more surface area, allowing for lots and lots of extra browning both inside and outside of the dog. The result, while originally intended to horrify subjects into just wanting the pain to end, in a modern context just makes a pretty incredible hot dog, even when simply eaten straight off the skewer. Now, the lack of bread here makes this perfectly healthy, but if you have a dietary restriction that requires that you eat bread, we can always downgrade this to a nutritional A-, grabbing a little hunk of store-bought pizza dough or canned biscuit dough, rolling it into a thin strand, and pressing it into the hot dog gaps, making sure to sort of sandwich it at the end so that it doesn't pop out. I call this one the barbershop. You're also going to want to hit this with a little bit of nonstick spray before putting it in the oven. I went for about 20 minutes at 375 Fahrenheit, but your results may vary. Hit it with the requisite ketchup and mustard, and what you end up with is less of a pig in a blanket, and more like what happens after a pig takes Ambien and wakes up all twisted around its blanket after a long night of Freudian nightmares. You could of course put this in a hot dog bun, again if you have that bread thing, but it's perfectly good right off the stick. Next up, the very best way to griddle a hot dog, which you might have noticed is difficult due to its rounded shape. This can be fixed simply by cutting the hot dog most of the way through and opening it up like a very thin round book, which we're then going to place cut side down in a preheated skillet and weigh down using a very expensive chef weight, or just any heavy heat proof thing including another pan. Give it a flip once it has some nice color and browning, weigh it down to griddle the skin side, and then you've got a hot dog that doesn't look as good in a bun, but it tastes way better by virtue of the higher heat that we're able to apply to more surface area. This is the way diners usually do it, and it's a damn fine way to consume a hot dog. Next up, for the ultimate summer in New York hot dog, we need to build ourselves a little grill kit. Aluminum pan, sliced onions, oil, tongs, rubber spat, sauerkraut, and a nice light, cheap American lager, both for the recipe and for yourself. A regular guy who likes to drink a beer and watch the game. Now out on our thoroughly preheated grill, we're going to place the aluminum pan right on the grates, hit it with a little bit of oil, let that get shimmering, and add a half a small onion thinly sliced, which we're going to saute for 5 to 10 minutes until it's got some nice color, maybe even some little brown bits. Now we're going to add about an equal amount of sauerkraut drained of its liquid. Saute for a couple minutes just to show that you care, then hit it with as much beer as you're willing to sacrifice. We want enough so that our hot dogs will be nestled into the cooking liquid. While that simmers and the alcohol cooks off, we're going to slam our dogs over high heat for a few minutes just to give them some color. Once they've got some nice char, nestle them into the crowded onions, cover up the grill, and let them simmer for a few minutes. What results is an upgraded expression of one of my favorite hot dogs in New York City, Gray's Papaya. It's only going to cost you a few extra minutes, a few extra dollars, and a few fewer sips of your beer. Next up, we're going to upgrade struggle meal hot dogs. Too many times in my life, I've had to eat a hot dog out of a slice of white sandwich bread, which is borderline dehumanizing. So to make it both more palatably and spiritually bearable, we're going to start by doing something unhinged, rolling out that bread until it's as thin as we can possibly get it. This is going to make it easier to roll tightly around the hot dog, which we're going to do along with a slice of yellow American cheese situated toward the front, rolling as tightly as possible into a log, and then over on the stovetop, melting some butter in which to bathe. The bread, that is, not your person. Roll it around in the butter, make sure it gets evenly coated, place it seam side down, toast until sealed shut, rotate and repeat until you basically have a cylindrical grilled cheese with a hot dog inside, which is every bit as awesome as it sounds and a way better option than simply wrapping things up in bread, microwaving it and eating it over the sink with no clothes on. I mean, both certainly have a place in your recipe book of life, but this one makes you feel in charge of the hot dog and not the other way around. Next up, we're going full Texas State Fair, I probably am correctly assuming, griddling up a big old hot dog and laying out a huge blanket of finely shredded cheddar cheese in front of it, making sure to use a non-stick or well-seasoned cast iron pan. Let that melt and fry until it's starting to brown around the edges, and then start rolling up the dog like a corpse in carpet, like a rat in a rug, like a witness in a welcome mat. Optionally impale upon a stick or place in a bun, then look directly into the heart of darkness and be not surprised when it looks back. Next up, hot dog kebabs. Right? We're simply and alternately impaling red peppers, green peppers, red onion, and of course hot dogs on a skewer, optionally bookending the kebab with the two rounded ends of the hot dog for a hint of whimsy. Then we're just grilling it up like it's any other day, rotating every few minutes, getting some nice color, and then I thought I'd try brushing it down with a little bit of ketchup in the last few minutes of cooking, letting that get sticky and caramelized the same way you would with barbecue sauce. Then, believe it or not, what results is not entirely a waste of your time. Nicely charred hot dogs and vegetables, glazed in sweet, sticky ketchup. It is surprisingly good and a genuinely slightly healthier way to enjoy a hot dog. But nobody cares about that, let's get nasty again. This time whipping up some simple boxed cornbread, greasing up a mini muffin tin, filling each cavity about halfway with cornbread batter, and into the center nestling a hot dog segment. Then we're baking these guys at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, a few minutes less than what the package recommends because they're pretty small, or until lovely golden brown and poppin' fresh. Let them cool for about 5 minutes until they pop easily out of the pan, garnish frankly elegantly with ketchup and mustard, and get ready to be the coolest parents that ever parented. My inner child absolutely loved these, so I'm sure your outer child will as well. But now it's time to be very adult because we're deep frying. I've got some oil here preheated to 375 degrees Fahrenheit, into which I'm going to very carefully and professionally drop a hot dog and splatter oil everywhere. You're going to want to use a natural casing dog, patted completely dry, and fry until it's nicely browned and split. In fact, the name for this style of hot dog in New Jersey is a ripper. But we're not stopping there. If you're going to deep fry your hot dog, you might as well deep fry your bun, right? Right? Yes, right, because if you fry it hot and fast, it effectively transforms your bun into a savory donut. So you're welcome ahead of time. Dry off the excess oil if you're on a diet, load it up with your deep fried hot dog, and weep because there are no worlds left to conquer. This is about as peak a hot dog experience as you can have, and afterwards you can die happy and much sooner than you would have otherwise. Next up, we're going to do a sort of hot dog within a hot dog, but not in the way you think. I'm starting by processing about a pound of hot dogs into a beautiful pebbly paste reminiscent of ground beef. Then, you guessed it, we're going to eat it with a spoon. Kidding. We're going to saute it in batches if necessary until most of the fat is rendered out and it's caught some nice caramelized color. Then I learned this the hard way, you're going to want to drain off most of the fat before adding some finely chopped onion with red and green bell peppers. Sauteing for about 5 minutes or until the vegetables are soft, then hitting it with some spices just to toast them. 2 to 3 tablespoons of chili powder, 1 teaspoon each garlic and onion powder, a little bit of cayenne, and a whole lot of brown sugar. Season with a little bit of freshly ground pepper, it's probably not going to need salt. Hit it with a healthy squirt of ketchup and add about a half cup of chicken or beef stock. That's right, we're making hot dog soup. I'm just kidding, this is hot dog chili, hence the can of drained red kidney beans. Then if you didn't drain the fat, like I said earlier, you might want to towel it off the top and let this guy simmer for 20 to 30 minutes until it's nice and thick, the beans are soft, and the flavors have melded, adjusting with blackstrap molasses for color and sweetness. Then, as you might have actually guessed, we are putting this hot dog chili on a hot dog, making what can be legally referred to as a hot dog chili dog. Hit it with grated cheddar and chopped white onion, and what we end up with is a chili dog for hot dog lovers, because you end up with a wealth of profound, smoky hot dog flavor, without the convenience of using ground beef. But I promise you it's worth making, even if it's just to tell your guests what you're serving them. Next up, we're going to take a step fully outside of sanity, preparing what can only be described as hot dog pizza. I'm sorry you had to hear that, but that's what we're doing. And screw it, let's use the hot dog chili as the sauce. Nothing objectively matters in this universe, and your values are entirely up to you, so you get to decide how you feel about this pizza, resting in the knowledge that those feelings don't actually matter. Anyway, I'm hitting it with both mozzarella and cheddar cheese, and I'm using thinly sliced natural casing hot dogs in the hopes that they curl into little hot dog cups. Send this guy onto a thoroughly preheated pizza stone, get him good and fired up, and get ready to shed your shame. Because when you realize that if you're living your life how you want and not hurting others, all while not judging them and forgiving them for how they want to live their lives, that's when you can start having some fun for once. Hit it with ketchup, mustard, and onion, slice it into New York style triangles, and try to look me in the eye and tell me that it's not really, really, really good. Seriously, I double dog dare you? At this point, if you're still watching the video, I know you're cool, so we can keep getting crazier. Because next up, we're doing hot dog nachos. Wait, where's everybody going? Stick with me. This is an effective way to consume hot dogs. We're starting off with the usual chips and shredded cheese, the unusual hot dogs, more shredded cheese, and maybe some jarred queso as well, just as a little anarchistic showing of disrespect for our digestive system. Speaking of which, more hot dog chili on top. Send this guy into a preheated 375-degree Fahrenheit oven for 5-10 minutes until the cheese is melted and the chips are toasty. Then I'm gonna top it with some more chopped white onion, some fresh jalapeno slices, and of course, it just wouldn't be hot dog nachos without ketchup and mustard. And yeah, I know what you're thinking of me right now, and I don't care. This stuff's so good, I showed a picture of it to Guga and he said, ooh. And frankly, I agree with him. I would call this as tasty as it is tasteless. So close the blinds, turn off the ring cam, submerge your phone in water, and go off the culinary grid. Next up, we're returning to sanity somewhat and making some hot dog baked beans. Dicing up 2 or 3 hot dogs and sauteing until nice and crisp, adding chopped onion and 2 cans of your beans of choice, bean juice included. Then we're hitting it with a bunch of brown sugar and barbecue sauce, molasses, and anything else you like to put in your baked beans. Simmer for 20-30 minutes, and what results is genuinely delicious. Sweet, spicy, sticky baked beans, imbued with the smoked and cured flavors of hot dogs. It's really a match made in heaven, and it's going to make a perfect substrate for our hot dog enchiladas. Toast up some taco-sized corn tortillas, use them to ensconce a hot dog, place that seam side down in the chili, top again with some of that spicy queso, cause f your body, and of course lots and lots of cheddar cheese. Now this one, unfortunately, I forgot to record coming out of the oven and tasting, but trust me, it's exactly what you think it's going to be. Next and last, you might already be familiar with this hot dog hack, hot dog mac and cheese, a childhood classic designed to add fat and salt to mac and cheese. Delicious and nostalgic though this may be, I think we can have some more fun with the medium. And no, not just by putting hot dog baked beans on our hot dog mac and cheese. I am sure we can go significantly harder than that. In place of Blue Box, I present for your consideration buldak, but not just any buldak, carbonara flavored tteokbokki buldak, one of the most delicious instant snacks available on the market. We could of course just add hot dogs to it, but where's the sense of play? I think I want to see some hot dog octopi bathing in this bowl of spicy tteokbokki. Hot dog octopi are easily achieved by cutting a hot dog in half and placing 4 cuts up from the bottom. You can even carve a little face into it if you really want to drive home to your kids that meat comes from living things. Now you could just boil or grill these or heat them up in the tteokbokki itself, but personally I like to impale them on a spike, grab a flamethrower I definitely shouldn't be using indoors, and take out some buried and long forgotten resentments on these hot dogs. You could also pretend that you're the Punisher and you finally caught the thugs that murdered your whole family, but then it turns out they were just pawns in the game, and you can experience the comic book author's intended moral ambiguity of the Punisher's actions. Pop the buldak in a bowl, nestle in the octopi, and you got yourself a quick and easy lunch. One that works very well with the hot dogs. Buldak is very famously spicy, and the hot dogs bring flavor and protein and a sense of play. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed these hot dog hacks. As silly as they were, I assure you everything I made here is delicious and well worth trying if you're in the mood. And if you're not in the mood, it's worth asking why, not as a judgment, but as a necessary exercise in self-awareness that can lead to real growth. Anyway, stay cool and hydrated out there and keep dogging it.